Hello and welcome to this workshop on how to create your ideal day. Your ideal day. I like to talk about design because that really speaks to me. I like designing and that sort of speaks to me. But if something else speaks to you, please feel free to replace whatever with the design with create or live or whatever speaks to you. So if you don't know me, my name is Katrina Horn. I'm a life coach and I'm speaking to you today because I really love helping people design their ideal lives. And you'll find out more about what I mean by this. And yes, Agnieszka, nice to see you here. Hello. And it was fun to see Grazina driving. So it's always good to have people here on camera. So thank you. If you're here live, there are people here I don't really know. So that's always exciting. You can, of course, participate via the chat. If you've got any questions, you can put them in the chat, or towards the end, you can ask your questions either in the chat or live by unmuting yourself. And I think that's really all you need to know. If you're on the replay, welcome too. I'm delighted that you're taking the time to watch this. And my intention behind it is really to get you out of the overwhelm. I want you to look at overwhelm as overflow, like we've got too much choice. Because that really is it, isn't it? If you're saying, oh, my life doesn't feel that much fun, or there's this thing wrong, and then there's that thing wrong, we could be thinking, well, as it can't be ideal, I just won't do anything. Or we can say to ourselves, I don't know what to do, which really just means that I can't choose what I want to do. So what I hope to transmit to you today is that it's about choice. We can actually choose, and there is no wrong choice, really. So we are so empowered because we get to decide. And the more we feel that we really have got the choice and that we can decide, the more we can shape our lives and the more of an ideal day we can have. So I'm pretty fortunate because I've been working on this for a long time. So I'm talking to you from a place of where I'm really living, I think, my best life. And that is what I would love for you to do too. For me, leading my best life doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean that you have to have the same. It doesn't mean anything at all like that. It just means that through conscious choices in my life, I have come to a place where I can enjoy it. I really can enjoy it. And so to get you out of the overwhelm, I just want to share a few tips with you on how you too can start enjoying it. Not by saying, oh, I haven't got my ideal life, so I'll just keep suffering. It's actually a question of tiny steps that will make it better and better and better and better till you get to be fully enjoying it. And that really is possible for all of us. It really is. And if you take nothing else away from this workshop, I hope it be that you believe, you really believe deep down that you can do this. So whatever I recommend, you could just look at as an inspiration. It's for you to either say, yeah, this speaks to me, I want to do that. Or if not, you can just say, no, not for me, Katrina, no, I don't want that. And that is all good. But if you've got the worksheet ahead in front of you, the workbook, I think I called it, you can see that there are things I want you to commit to, and then there are a lot of other choices. And ideally, at the end of this hour, you will have committed to something. And as soon as you commit to something, you are out of the overwhelm. You've made a choice. I look at overwhelm as a buffet. So I live in France. We've got lots of gorgeous food. Coming to a buffet, you are overwhelmed with choice. And in life, it's the same thing. You could get up in the morning, going to the gym, not having breakfast, having a coffee on your commute to work. That is one choice, or you could lie in bed, looking out of your window, sipping your tea, listening to classical music. That would be another choice. But it really is about choice, right? And it's never either or in my world. There's everything in between. There's everything. So the more you commit to doing today, or the firmer your commitment, I should say, because it's not a question of quantity, it's a question of quality. If you can persuade yourself to commit to doing just one thing in the morning, one thing during the day, and one thing in the evening, this could, over time, really change your experience. It really could. So if you've got any questions, again, I can see people are joining, feel free to put them in the chat. And at the end, as I said, I can take your questions live and you can ask them live if you want some live coaching. Otherwise, let's dive into the workbook. And as there are people who've joined, let me just share the way you can go and download the workbook. Otherwise, I'll be sharing my screen some of the time, because I've noticed that I really don't enjoy PowerPoints a lot. So because I like when I've got all this on, when I haven't got the PowerPoint, if I'm not sharing my screen, I can actually see more of you, those of you who are here with cameras. So that's always nice to me. So I'm just going to occasionally share the workbook so that you know what I'm talking about. So if you could lay your hands on the workbook, you can follow along. Maybe you've already printed it out, in which case, great. I try to make it look pretty because I like pretty things. Maybe you don't like my idea of pretty at all, which is okay too. And feel free just to use any old paper or use your computer, whatever feels good to you. When you wake up in the morning, maybe you're in the habit of getting on with it. Maybe you're in the habit of just rushing through your morning. Maybe you just like hit the floor running, we used to say. I don't know whether we say that still, but it's sort of, you get up already with the feeling of being behind. Like, oh, I've got so much to do, so little time to do it in. And be that as it may, there's so much to be gained in really taking care of yourself, especially in the morning. So think about it. You've just rested. You're waking up. Now, I think instead of going straight into what you think you have to do, you could just go into what you feel like doing. And even better, you could just go into taking a moment to feel good. Because how often do we do that, really? I mean, we are in a culture, I think most of us, where we just get on with the doing, and like there's merit in doing, and we feel that we have to perform really to deserve to be on this earth. And I believe reality is actually that we first of all have a duty to feel good, as you will see as we progress through the workshop. And the best way to feel good during the day is to start it off by feeling good. So that's why in the workbook, I want you to commit to doing a few things. So let me just share my screen again. And now you should be seeing the workbook. And if you haven't got the workbook, well, now you can actually just follow along here and write a few things down. So I start off by asking you what you commit to doing. And these are tiny little actions that I really want you to consider bringing into your life on a permanent basis. Now, that doesn't mean we can't change it, but this commitment to doing something for you in the morning that makes you feel good is so important. So this is where I'm at in the workbook. I suggest we commit to doing 3 things. So let me share what you could do. You could choose to listen to some music first thing in the morning, if that makes you feel good. Like you could have either some energetic music on, you could have some relaxation music. That would be one thing. And it needn't take a long time. I'm talking like 2 minutes or 5 minutes if you want, but just taking that time to actually feel good before you get on with the day. So listening to music, you could have some photos ready of people you love or your pets. and have a look at them and really feel the feeling of how much you love them. Right? Think about how your day would be different if you woke up and the first thing you got busy with was how to feel good. If you've got a pet, maybe you could pet it. But the things I'm talking about are really ideally something you can do in bed. So before you get on with it, you're already in bed or you're still in bed and you're feeling into how you could feel even better, how you could nurture that feeling of feeling good. So listening to music, looking at your photos. Did I write something down? I don't know. Yeah, pets. Maybe you could just smell your perfume. I mean, I love having a good perfume to smell. Maybe you could have it at your bedside and sort of do a little whiff of that. Maybe that would make you feel good. And it's really about taking just those few seconds or maybe a minute to connect to the feeling of feeling good before we go into the I have to. So maybe you could share in the chat if you've got any ideas, not Grazina because she's driving, but the rest of you, if you could pop into the chat something that would make you feel good in the morning. Like this morning, I had a meeting quite early and I had to prepare it sort of, and I thought a little bit about it. And when I woke up, so this idea that I have to prepare it, let me just go into the feeling that I am enough. I am enough, and I can come to that meeting as I am, and I'm already prepared enough. So I went up to our attic and just sat with my coffee, like you, Agnieszka. I just sat there and enjoyed my coffee. I listened to the birds singing. It was still dark outside. So the room was dark. I was just sitting there, just really sitting there, not having an agenda, not trying to accomplish anything. And I sat there for a whole hour, actually. So that might seem extremely extravagant to you. But as I keep saying, my biggest luxury is I don't need to set the alarm clock in the morning. I can wake up when I want. This morning, I did have to set the alarm clock. So that was a little bit of an exception. But I set it so early, I was sure to have enough time for myself. So maybe that's something that you want to commit to. Set your alarm clock 5 minutes early. To really take that moment, and we're really talking moments, just to feel good. So imagine sitting there with your coffee or whatever, feeling good. Really feeling good without having anything to accomplish, with no agenda. As I said, just being there, taking a moment. Any other good ideas? So we had coffee. Yes, you could. Yes, Cynthia, that's brilliant. You could actually set your alarm early and just lie in the bed, because I love that too. I would lie in my bed and I enjoy the softness of it, the pillows, the sheets. I just enjoy all of it. And my bedroom is facing east. And I live in the south of France, so we've got shutters in front of the window. So we shut them at night. And then obviously there are the windows, but at the moment it's still so warm, we have them open. So I can see the light come through when the sun starts to rise. I can see the sun come up. And that is also gorgeous. I can really enjoy that. Yeah, so 15 to 30 minutes extra in bed sounds delightful to me. I enjoy that too. I really do. So on an ordinary day, I would just wake up and I would just lie there till I feel like getting up. So I spend my day being. Like, I enjoy the idea of being. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just being there. So maybe that's something you want to get into more and more. Just being. Nothing to do. Just feeling into your feelings and seeing what comes out for you. What would you like to do before you start doing it? Anything else? Any other ideas? Maybe you want to be smelling your flowers on your coffee table sip your tea. If somebody brings you tea, I don't know, but something that would feel really good in the morning, and then commit. Yoga, says Agnieszka. Yeah, you could commit to yoga. That would be brilliant too. So I had an excuse for a long time that I wouldn't do yoga because it took a long time. Okay, so yeah. So I had that excuse for a long time. So yeah, doing an hour's worth of yoga in the morning, that's too long. I don't want to do that. But then I thought, well, what if I just did it 3 days a week? Because I'm all about stretching in the morning. I'm all about getting some exercise in here. I said stretching and Cynthia too at the same time. Breathing meditation with my eyes closed. Sounds gorgeous. Yeah. Breathing exercises, meditation. I always meditate for at least 20 minutes in the morning. I enjoy that, but maybe you don't enjoy it. Daydreaming is so powerful, Hanan. Yeah. Daydreaming is good. Just taking 5 minutes to daydream, no agenda. Just let your mind wander on everything delightful. So what I'm getting at is that you can load your batteries up. You can really charge your batteries with a lot of energy just by taking 5 minutes in the morning. It could be journaling, writing down your dreams, anything that feels good. And what is really, really very powerful is if there's no expectation of an outcome attached to it. So if you get up and you feel, I must do my stretching because that will prevent me from aging and I will stay subtle and all that, you're attaching an agenda to it, an expectation. And that could prevent you from really enjoying it to the full. So try and think of something that doesn't have a purpose, I like to say, that is completely frivolous and just has to feel good. Listening to music, I think that is so powerful too. But if you could just daydream, I would just go with that. Lie in bed for 5 minutes and daydream. I mean, what could be better than that? If you're committed to doing that, if you're really committed to doing that, your life would change. It would. Trust me. So what could you commit to? Is anybody ready to commit here? What would feel good to commit to for you? Feel free to write it in the chat. I'd love to know. And once you've committed, I mean, you only need one thing really, but you can have 10 things, but it's difficult to commit to 10 things. And I prefer that you just choose one that you then really, really do. Seriously, one thing. And if you feel, oh, actually, I could do 2, well, go ahead and do 2, up to 3, but don't be too overly ambitious. Devotions, meditations, yeah, are you committing to that? Yeah, I hope these are commitments. I love both coffee and devotions. Devotions is a good word. Love that. Maybe you want to put a time frame on it. I like the idea of having, I often set my timer actually because I want to not be thinking about having to look at the time or watch the time or be in that sort of energy. So I just set my timer and I say, okay, 10 minutes now. Let me just be for 10 minutes and I just sit there and enjoy it. So sometimes it's really freeing to put a time frame on what we do because we can just let go. Right? There's nothing to supervise, there's nothing to control, there's nothing to look at all the time. So, any other ideas? This all comes from an idea that we are like plants. And if you just follow me on this, what shall I call it, image really of us being a plant. Think of a plant that you like. If you were that plant, you would nurture it, wouldn't you? I mean, you wouldn't expect of a plant that it grow if you don't water it. You wouldn't expect that it would thrive if it never got any sunshine. So think about yourself that way. My idea is that we nurture ourselves in our lives. The more we nurture, the more we flourish. If we nurture ourselves really well, we bloom. So that's an image I like to have. I like to see myself blooming. And what I know about that is when I take the utmost care of myself, when I allow myself to feel really, really good, I'm at my best. Like a flower is at its best when it's blooming, isn't it? So I want to bloom. I can only bloom if I take really good care of myself. If I deprive myself of water, sunshine, whatever, if I deprive myself, well, then I just start feeling not so good. And then I can't be at my best. So you could ask yourself, what do I require to function optimally? What do I require to function optimally? And think of yourself as a plant. A plant needs water, perhaps fertilizer, perhaps, well, definitely light, daylight. What do you need to function optimally? Because we are working towards this idea of being at your best. I like to be at my best because I think if I liken myself to a machine, like a machine works best when it's oiled. I want my machine to be working optimally most of the time, like ideally all of the time. And so I need to nurture that. I need to fill up the oil. I need to give it fuel. I need to really take good care of it. And this goes counter to so much we learn in our society, really. I mean, watching our mothers, perhaps you were like me, that my mother's life was just sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. And maybe we've taken some of that on and we're still operating a little bit in that mode. And we think, oh, actually, it's a little bit selfish to be taking so much good care of myself. Maybe I don't really deserve all that. Maybe I could just do with a little less self-care. Maybe I could just not take that good care of myself. Maybe I could deprive myself of a little bit of daylight and water and fertilizer, because there's so much to get on with. And my idea is the more we take care, the more we can give, the more we can bloom and be at our best. If I have a long coffee in the morning, if Agnieszka has a long coffee with yoga, Cynthia smelling the flowers and having her devotions and all of that, we are not depriving anybody of anything, are we? We are not preventing anybody from anything. Even if you've got children who need you, well, get up before them and take that time for yourself, right? Also, children can be taught to wait. Children can really be taught to wait. So if they're 1 year old, they can be taught to wait for a minute. If they're 2 years old, 2 minutes, 3 years old, 3 minutes, etc. So you can teach your children actually to wait till you are available. If they're 10 years old, they can wait for 10 minutes for whatever they're wanting from you. They can wait. And during that time, you're making sure that you can bloom. So tell me if anything is coming up for you, if there's anything you want to share, anything around the image of you as a precious plant that you want to take care of. And I'm just looking at my notes. Right, I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to say on that score. Let me just move on then with our workbook. So I'm back to the workbook, and we have committed to something to do in the morning, then during the day. And this idea comes from, I don't know if I do it like that, maybe I should stop sharing so you can see this book, which is very old. Actually, I looked at when it was published in 2002. So it looks very dated. It's 20 years old. And this book has helped me immensely. So it's by Cheryl Richardson, who was like one of the first coaches to be broadcast. I think she was on Oprah. Maybe if you're in the States, you know a lot more about that. But I read her book not long after it came out, and it really, really helped me shape my life. And the idea that I'm sharing here with you is from that book. because she invites us to check in with ourselves on our feelings. So I would like to invite you to, during the day, set a time frame for it every 2 hours. Perhaps I will give myself 2 minutes or more to check in with how I'm feeling. So have that be a ritual. Set your timer, set your phone to give you a little reminder every 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever is possible for you. Just 2 minutes. We've all got 2 minutes just to check in with how you're feeling. So I remember doing this. I put on I used to be in music. I used to work in music, and I put on a show which I produced in Avignon, which is in the south of France, and it's a very famous capital for shows, theatre, all of that, entertainment. And it was a big stress on me. It was a big step for me. As I say, it was the scariest thing I ever did. So doing that, putting on that show, I really needed some solid self-care in place, and I did all of it. And it really saved me. One of the things I did was that every 2 hours during the day, I checked in with how I was feeling. And just checking in and of itself is huge. So just being able to tell yourself, I'm feeling frustrated, or I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling annoyed, I'm anxious, whatever it is you're feeling, just recognizing it can really work miracles. And if you want to, you can begin to want to change it. So if this emotion you're feeling, if you write it down, and if you want to change it, let's say you don't want to be feeling frustration, you can actually change it by asking yourself, how could I feel better? Maybe you could feel better smelling your perfume, looking at a photo of your dog or stroking your dog, looking out of the window, going for a walk, whatever will take you into a better feeling place. That is really worth it. So let's say you check in with yourself every 2 hours to see how you feel. You write down how you feel. If you don't enjoy feeling like that, you want to change it. So have something in place that you can just go to. If you haven't got a lot of time, it could be looking at a photo, it could be touching a stone you've got in your bag that you found at the beach during your summer holiday, anything that can shift you out of that feeling. It could be something that takes up time. If you've got the time, go for a walk, get up and dance to some music, whatever it is, especially if you can move your body. Moving your body really changes your energy. So anything to make you feel better. And if that is not available to you, I'm all for satisfaction, because satisfaction is so much easier to get yourself to than elation, ecstatic joy, whatever it is, one of those top scoring feelings that we want to be feeling all the time. It can be difficult to get there. Satisfaction is so easy to get to. Let's say you're feeling sad, you can shift into satisfaction quite easily just by perhaps listing all the people you know and love, or what you did today. Or you can get up and, as I say, rearrange your kitchen drawers, or wipe that window down, or whatever it is that's getting on your nerves, right? Satisfaction is immediately available. Cynthia says, I can use my feeling list. Yes, have you got one? That is fabulous. If you've got a feeling list, then obviously, if you can access those feelings, go ahead. Because let's think about it. Your ideal day is really you feeling good as much of the time as possible, isn't it? So we need to check in with those feelings, and we need to do it often enough so that we can, first of all, become aware, accept the feeling we are feeling, and if we so choose, change it. And if you want to go to one of those very high vibrational feelings like joy or gratitude or love or whatever, It can be harder than simple satisfaction is all I'm saying. But if you can access love, if you can look at that photo of your husband, of your child, of your dog, of your cat, you know, that's all good too. It's all good. You can mix it up, you can mix and match it, whatever feels good to you, but just have that in place. You can go ahead and set your timer right now. Go ahead and do it every 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. You can listen to a favorite song. Yes, you absolutely can. It's about getting those good feeling vibes going and staying with them as long as possible, right? So, any questions on your feelings? Any comments? We can do that at the end too. If there are any feelings you'd like to have my idea on how to get to, then I'm very happy to do that. But otherwise, I just really say to you that you can feel satisfaction right now in this moment, whenever you want to. It's so easy. If you're thirsty, you can drink, right? If you're hot, you can take your jumper off. So many things you can do straight away to feel satisfaction and then stay with it. That's another thought. I don't believe in multitasking because we miss out on so much of the savoring when we multitask. So I'm all for doing what I do, even if it's cleaning the windows. I'm really for doing it mindfully. I'm really for enjoying it or not doing it at all. So that's why, when I go for a walk, I don't usually listen to a podcast. I just go for the walk. So I really like doing things intentionally and getting all the benefits from them. But moving on, we've all got our thoughts that we think frequently. So we have, sometimes we say 65,000 thoughts a day, some say 85,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are identical to the ones we had the day before. So talking about mindfulness, it means that we could do a lot of cleaning up in our thoughts, really, because some of them are just repetitive over and over. And if it's all about how happy you are, then that's fine. But when it's thoughts that really pull us down, then we want to stop it. So what are your 3 most frequent thoughts? What are the thoughts you sort of go to? And if it's about being happy, being loved, enjoying yourself, then that's all perfect. But if you're here, maybe you've got thoughts coming up like, I'm so overwhelmed, or I can't do this, or I haven't got enough time, or I always have to do this on my own, or nobody ever thinks of me, or I'll just have to do it myself again, or whatever it is that you have come up. I would like for you to have something to redirect your focus to. So that's why I say down here, your 3 most frequent thoughts. When I think I'm so overwhelmed, what could you redirect to? And what I like to think when I want to feel I'm overwhelmed, I just want to say, I'm spoiled for choice. I really am spoiled for choice, and I'm finding it difficult to choose. Right? Needn't be a problem. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. It just means that I'm being presented with so much choice, and my brain is just finding it very difficult to choose. That's all. Nothing dramatic, nothing spectacular happening. It's just a thought. I'm feeling overwhelmed is a thought. And when we finish thinking it, we can think something different. And we can actually finish it sooner than expected, because we can just decide, oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed. That's not much fun. Let me just think. I'm spoiled for choice. That feels so much better to me. It feels so abundant. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't know what to do now. Let just choose. And on choice, really, I don't think there are any wrong choices. If we are a little bit connected. Like if we're in overwhelm, we can just sit down, have a sip of tea, take 5 minutes, enjoy ourselves, and then come back to it and say, so what would I choose? I like to say, if I knew, what would I choose? And just let myself be directed really by my subconscious, because my subconscious knows. So I rely heavily on that. And our subconscious is really one of the biggest allies we can have when we want to design our ideal life. To really be guided by what's in there. We come to problem solving through our intellect, through our rational minds. And the answer so often is in our irrational mind. And it really is. Our subconscious is completely incapable of being rational. But it's got so much wisdom to share with us. So all this overwhelm could be got rid of really by just listening in to what we already know. Because we already know. And that's so good to know. So we're just indulging in a little bit of being spoiled through choice. That's all. So anybody who wants to share a common thought, one of your 3 most common thoughts, perhaps, in the chat, if you're feeling brave. No, I can't see any coming. Maybe you can't access them, but just start noticing them. Tomorrow you can start noticing. I'm saying tomorrow because it's evening here, but maybe you're listening during the day. Maybe you can just set the intention right now that, oh, actually, I will start noticing what I'm thinking and write it down. Just writing down, just becoming conscious of your thoughts can be so helpful, because once you're aware of them, well, then you're looking at them, you've pulled them out into the light. And once they're in the light, we can start work on them, right? So moving on, I want to get to the evening. Oh, there was just a comment there. Gratefulness. Yes. Gratitude and gratefulness is so good. So good. You've gone through the day and you're feeling better and better because you're making sure to be in touch with your feelings, to feel into your feelings, to acknowledge them, to write them down and be aware of them. So that's all good. You're aware of your thoughts. You're aware of the thoughts that are not serving you, and you're redirecting them. All right. Then it comes to bedtime. And we can go to bed exhausted because we've done far too much. We've not had enough fun during the day. And frankly, we just want the day to be over, and we can go comatose into bed. And that's one way of doing it. Or we can be a little bit more aware. We can say, oh, I want to set myself up for success because I want to prepare the most delightful sleep for myself. I want to wake up so rested. So I really find it worth my while. I really want to focus, and I really want to give attention units to how I can set myself up for success in my sleep. So what would that involve? What could you do before going to bed? What would be a kind and caring thing to do for yourself? I've become so gentle with myself in my self-love journey. I really enjoy being gentle. So I would never do anything brusque in the evening. Like I would take really good care of myself. And it could be something as basic as taking off your makeup and enjoying it. Taking off your makeup in a caring way, or combing your hair, putting on something delightful to sleep in. What would you enjoy? What would it be? Also with my husband, sometimes we read to each other, and that is really so good in bed, just to have a chapter of a book and listen to that, or read it yourself. That can feel really good. Writing down your gratitude list for Grazina Could be an idea. Something that makes you feel good, right? Because then you go to bed feeling good and you wake up and you connect to that feeling good. And before you know it, you'll be feeling good so much of the time. Maybe you want to go over your photo album of your favorite moments of the holidays, or having a look at your family photos, whatever it is, petting your dog. Yeah. So you do affirmations, Cynthia? That sounds good. Cynthia says reading out her affirmations. Yeah. That's also a very good practice, especially if you believe in them. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to be watching television or listening to anything violent, right? You don't want to be watching a violent film last thing in the evening. I mean, you're setting up your subconscious for some dreadful things during the night. Just think about your subconscious as a little child. I mean, what would you want to feed it before putting it to bed? Would you want to hear more dreadful news of the wars and famines and whatever we have got going, climate change? What would really serve your subconscious? What would have you feel good at night? And then commit. Anybody wants to commit? I think Cynthia's committed to reading out her affirmations. Maybe you want to learn them off by heart. You can have something really calming, a prayer or something like that to say out loud before dropping off to sleep. You can connect to your love, sending out love to everybody you love or people you don't know. You can think of something really good that happened to you that day. So Amy is saying, when I recognize a particular emotion, I've been practicing somatic. Yes. Super, yeah. So somatic awareness is feeling it in your body. And there's so much research on that, and that is really good. Thank you, Amy, for reminding us. Feeling it in your body. Where are you feeling your emotion? Where is it? Where is it sitting? Right? And then direct your awareness to it. Thank you. Good point there. So think about anything that will make you feel good in the evening. I like a hot drink. So I like having a hot drink, not necessarily in bed, but before I go to bed. Music, says Agnieszka, yes. Music can make me a little bit excited, as I used to be a musician. So I can get very much into music, and I don't necessarily listen to it before sleeping. So before bed, I've been listening to ASMR Reiki. Okay. Right. And I hope it makes you feel good, the tracks, before you drift off to sleep. I mean, if you can go to sleep in this sort of nirvana, in this good feeling mode, you're going to have such restorative sleep. Yeah, Cynthia says prayer is very good too. Completely, and connected always to your emotions, the prayers, right? Always. Gorgeous stuff. So before I move off to the end, where I'm talking about you at your best, I think it's so useful for us when we want to have an identity, when we want to up level, when we want to up our standards that we set for ourselves, to let ourselves a little bit off the hook, because it's perhaps difficult to say, I'm a caring person, or I'm always thoughtful, or something like that, because maybe we're not always like that. And just putting in the sentence, when I'm at my best, it allows us really to up level what we think of ourselves. So you could be thinking about yourself, I'm a bit lazy, and I'm a little bit disorganized, and we can be thinking things like that. But when you think of your best self, That would not be the case, would it? When you're at your best, what are you like? Can you think of anything when I'm at my best? When I'm at my best, what are you like? And I would invite you to choose a few when you're at your best. When I'm at my best, I'm spontaneous. How does that sit with you? When I'm at my best, I'm resourceful. It's harder for me to say I'm resourceful, I'm spontaneous, because I might not be that all the time. But when I'm at my best, this is what I'm like. So what would you like to think about yourself? What would you like to be able to say? When I'm at my best, I'm funny, hopeful, encouraged. Yes, when you're at your best, you're hopeful. I think you can up level here, Cynthia. I think you can go one up. Do you want to try? What would be even better than hopeful? Confident? Excited? Yeah, not necessarily. It could be, I trust. I feel faith. Yeah, Hanan is saying, I'm kind and easygoing. And Grazina says, kind, caring, compassionate. Gorgeous. And that's so good to tell yourself sometimes. Yeah, satisfied is good. Yeah. You can go one up too, unsatisfied, I think. I think the next one up from hopeful is confident, trusting. Yeah. Hopeful, you're still not certain. Hopeful, you're into probable, right? We want to make it inevitable. So trust would be my one up. Love and appreciation. Yeah. Love it. So if you could say, at my best, I am loving and appreciative. That feels good. And I would always encourage you to go one up, because I think sometimes we hold ourselves to too low standards, and we let ourselves get away with a lot of things. And my idea is that we can actually cultivate ourselves at our best, and we do so by feeling good most of the time. So that's how we design our ideal day. It's making sure at all moments that we are feeling good. And when we don't feel good, then we do something to feel good. That is how we are at our best. And designing our ideal days, one after another, well, the more you have of ideal days in a month, well, the more you're moving towards your ideal life. Sherry says content. When I'm at my best, I'm content. That feels good to me. Content is a good one. Anticipating. Yeah, anticipating. Yeah, eagerness. I love that. I love that. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, it was really this idea of a plant. Because if I come back to what I talked about at the beginning, and I'm sorry if you weren't here at the beginning, I talked about us being like plants, and we can nurture ourselves by making sure we've got everything we require to be at our optimal level, to function optimally, to function at our best. So if you look at the plant, like this summer, I live in the south of France, so we've had a dreadful drought, and it's still dry. It still hasn't rained, and we're just desperate for water. But in the spring, I've got a flower garden, so I can always pick flowers from my garden. I enjoy that. I enjoy having fresh flowers inside. And I planted some hydrangea, sorry. And my thought was, maybe I can have them flourish. But then after a heat wave and a drought, well, 2 of them died. And my point here is, whether you like gardening or not, yeah, they like lots of water, yeah. They do, Cynthia, you are so right. But I tried it out. Some of them survived, some of them died. But my whole point here is, if you don't feel that you are living your ideal life, you have to nurture yourself into it. But the other idea is that maybe you are not planted in the soil that nurtures you. So it's easier for me to not plant hydrangea because they're not going to feel good here because it's too hot, there's too little water. So I can just tell myself, so, okay, no hydrangeas here. But if you look at it from the point of view of the hydrangea, then it would be more useful for it to live in a colder, more rainy climate. So the hydrangea could be wanting just to be uprooted and transplanted into an environment that really suits it. And that would serve it much better than me trying to water it and shade it from the sun. It's so much more work for us to nurture ourselves in difficult environments than just to uproot ourselves and go somewhere else. So I don't know everybody here, but so I'm just going to say it again, that I was born in Denmark and I didn't like where I was. I was with people who weren't like me, who didn't like classical music, who didn't like literature, who didn't so many things. I just thought, I want a ticket out of here. So I moved to London, where I started blooming because I was in my kind of environment. I was with people who were like-minded. I was being nourished through them. I was thriving in that soil. So that's not to say that there's anything wrong with Denmark. It just wasn't my soil, if you see what I mean. So you can also transplant yourself into an environment that is more to your liking. And then you won't have to nurture yourself as much. So really, 2 ways of transforming: staying where you are, optimizing your self-care, your environment, or uprooting yourself and planting yourself in the environment that nurtures you. Right? I don't know whether you follow my parable here, but it's, if you see yourself as a plant, where would be my optimal nourishment? Where would I have everything I require to function optimally? And that's the point of your ideal day and your ideal life. It's really to get yourself to the place where you can be all of who you are, where you don't have to censor yourself, where there's a little bit of nurture, but not an enormous amount that requires a lot of energy from you, that requires a lot of upkeep, where you really have to double down on all the things you have to do to be happy. Right? It's much easier perhaps for you somewhere else. So that's a thought for you. And I would love for you to use this thought of uprooting yourself so that you don't beat up on yourself if you don't manage to perfect your ideal day. It's really, it's not only up to you, is what I'm saying. It can be difficult, right? Think about wanting to be a millionaire and living in a housing estate. It's very difficult, isn't it? It's very difficult to nurture the thoughts of being wealthy when you are surrounded by poor people. The same if you want to lose weight. It's very difficult to lose weight if you live in an environment where everybody overeats. I talked to somebody from the south of the States, I don't know, not so long ago, and she said, well, in her family, the way they showed love was through food. So it was completely difficult for her to lose weight in that environment. And that was something she really had to question. Do you see what I mean? Much easier for her to move to somewhere else where people don't show their love through food. And that would help her. That would support her in her weight loss journey, if you see what I mean. So you can put yourself in an environment that nurtures you so you don't have to make the same effort. I don't know whether I was clear on that one, but let me know if not, and let me know if any questions you've got, anything that I can help you with. Any comments, questions, anything that comes up for you? I'd love to know. Declutter your environment. I love that idea. We all need to declutter. I mean, clutter keeps accumulating, doesn't it? And that's another way to get satisfaction. I remember before I leave my house for like 2 months in the summer, and before leaving, I got the urge to tidy up a humongous cupboard I've got. And I thought, I just want to feel that this is sorted out. Like there's so much I want to get rid of in that cupboard. Let me just do it. So when I leave, I feel so much lighter. And decluttering is really powerful. So Amy says, I really need to probably clean the house. Yeah. Weeding. Yeah. Amy is likening cleaning the house to weeding. Yeah. I like that idea. So you take away the weeds so you, the plant, can flourish, right? You haven't got those parasites around you. I love that idea. Yeah, we need to commit, Hannah, all of us, we need to commit. All of us, all the time. We need to commit to us, right? The more we commit to us, the more we realize how precious we are. We really are precious. And the more you commit to that, the more self-care you put in place, the more obvious that will seem to you. And it's not about being better than other people. It's just about being worth as much as anybody else. And I want to share with you, maybe I should just put that link in the chat, how you can book a free consultation with me if you want to take this further. So you can hop over to my online scheduler, which is here. And this is what it looks like. So Amy is saying I need rich, loamy soil, sunlight, regular watering and weeding. That's which I no longer need in my life. Yes, and it's taking away the nutrients. Yes. Is there an app that could be a reminder for us to continue to commit through the day? Yes, there are. Just hop on. I don't know whether you are, what's it called? Apple or Microsoft or whatever smartphone you've got, but there is an app. Just ask for it in Google Play or whatever, what's it called on Apple? I can't remember, but there are free ones. Go ahead, find one. What a brilliant idea, all through the day to have that timer go off. But I just time my phone. I don't need the app. I just set the time on the phone. So if you want to go deeper with this, you can go ahead and book consultation next week. I've freed up so much time for you. So please go ahead and choose a time that suits you. And we'll be meeting up for an hour. And if you're free to talk during that hour, if you're free to, if nobody's listening to you, if you haven't got to rush off into anything, that's really ideal. But if you can't fit that in, just try to find an hour where you don't think you'll be interrupted, really. And that hour, we will really take this much, much deeper. And I will show you what how coaching can help you actually design your ideal day so that you get to your ideal life. And coaching is just a way of getting there faster. And coaching is about seeing where you are now, where you want to be, and then we just find out how to get you there. And it's about designing your ideal life from the future, not based on your past, because we have a tendency to pull out the evidence from the past into our present and think that because our past was what it was, our present needs to be what it is, and our future will be conditioned by that, which is not true. Which is absolutely not true. You can actually just go ahead and design your ideal life based on the future, and you at your best. And that is so good to know. You're more than welcome, Cynthia. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy you're here and that you shared everything you shared. That's such an inspiration. Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to make a comment? Right, so thank you very much for spending this hour with me. Thank you, Sherry, for showing up. Thank you for being here. And I hope to talk to you on Zoom soon. If not, you're more than welcome, Hanan. I don't know whether it's a Hanan I already spoke to or not. But if it is, I'm thinking of you. You're more than welcome, Agnieszka. Oh, you are. Oh, I'd so love to hear from you again. I'd love to know where you're at now. Yes, you are so beautiful. I love you so much. Right. Bye for now. Thank you. And hopefully connect with you soon. Oh, you're welcome, Amy. I enjoyed meeting you. And I love your idea of reading. I'll think about that. So have a lovely day or evening or whatever. And hopefully connect. Bye for now.